Hello and welcome back to another classic movie review here, and today I'm going to be doing Kramer versus Kramer. It came out in 1979, obviously starring Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, and I gotta say that in my opinion, the person who really brings this movie together is the guy who played the kid, Justin Henry. I think one of he plays the child in one of the best kids roles that I've ever seen. Not just with what he goes through, but the emotion that he shows and everything that we see coming from this kid as he goes through this understandably terrible time in his life where his mother leaves him. I think it's a really good. I think he really is the glue to hold this whole movie together. Yes, you do have two brilliant performances by Dustin Hoffman and Meryl Streep, and they definitely do carry the movie. Dustin Hoffman a bit more, but Meryl Streep is up there as far as talent and as far as the quality of work that she does in this movie. Obviously, because she won the Oscar in 1980. Um, but yeah, I think that Mr. Henry, uh, Justin Henry, did a really good job of playing the kid and playing him in a different light than you usually see. You don't usually see kids uh, go through things like this in movies, but I think it's a really smart movie with what they did with it. I do think though that if this was remade today, or if it was made today, that it would have been Dustin Hoffman's character or the father to leave the family. I think it's a very interesting thing to see the mother in movies and in life. We all know that the mother's love, like, that's a thing. It's something that is more special than the father's love. But it's really interesting to see the mother leave. It is a great story to me. I think it really is can be timeless because kids, you never want to see a kid go through something like this. You never want to see a family go through something like this. But at the same time, it is it made, I think, the family itself, I think it made them stronger. I think it not only did Billy get stronger, and he learned to be a bit more self-dependent. He learned to depend on his father for some things that he never had to depend on his father. And I do think that Ted Kramer, Dustin Hoffman's character, I think that he learned how to be a vastly better father than what he was doing in the beginning of the film, because just from the very first, 10-15 minutes of it, um, before she walks out on them, he's not exactly the pinnacle of father. He's not, the dad from Father Knows Best. He's a bit distant. He does love his son, obviously. You can tell that with the way he talks to him. But he is, in my opinion, he would not be like the person that, at least that version of him, very first scenes that we see with Ted Kramer coming home. I don't see the, great father figure. He was more concerned with his work and that aspect of his life than his family. So it was really cool to see uh, that character go through this change of, not only did he have to start, he had to learn how to cook and stuff like that, marginally learn how to cook. He didn't exactly become a five-star chef or anything, but he had to learn how to do some things that he probably had never had to do before. Probably wash dishes, things like that. Things that generally during that time period the women would do. It was very nice to see a man have to learn to do that kind of thing, to have to go through uh, that strange the thing that he doesn't know how to do yet. It's very simple. I mean, just him trying to make French toast. It was very cringy because of the way he would, he did not know what he was doing, and it was like, wow, it's, you know, you think of it. I think of it nowadays, and it's like you put the eggs in the bowl, you put the milk in the bowl, you get the bread. You just it's very interesting to see a male character have to figure out how to do what the female in his life was doing, and so I think it's still a very timely movie. It still holds up. There's not really anything to date. There's no elements of this movie and this story that date it really. I think clearly Meryl Streep is the in it can be, for me at least, Meryl Streep was the best part of this movie as far as like quality. I think everything that she did was so well done. I think that she just brought this the next level. It's like when you see great when you see people who are very good at something, and then you compare them to the people who are the best at something. It's just those people who are the best at something can always take it up another notch. They can always turn it to 11 if they need to. And that's, to me, what Meryl Streep did during this movie. Every time she was on screen, it felt, I was drawn to her, and it felt like she was always, even if she wasn't doing anything, even if she was just staring at them through a window, it always felt like she had it turned up to 11 and was doing something so amazing, and something I just could not look away at any moment during her screen time. And that's not to say that Dustin Hoffman was bad. He was really, really great in it, and so was Justin Henry, like I said. But just, there's a reason that she won the Oscar, and in my opinion, I just feel like Meryl Streep is definitely the best part of this movie, and it's really cool that she's not in it a lot. I think that's a very bold choice on the writers of this movie, and I'm not sure if it was based on a book. I think it might have been, but it's a really interesting thing to see her, like, she leaves, she's there at the beginning, she leaves for a good chunk of this movie where it's just Ted and Billy Kramer figuring out life together, and then she comes back, and when she comes back, it's much like Beetlejuice, where he's not in it a whole lot, but you remember everything that he does. And it's the same thing with her character of Joanna. It's just, she's not. It was literally halfway through the movie, and I was like, is she gonna come back, or like, how long is this gonna take for her to come back? But when she does, it's just those scenes, the scenes with her after she does come back and ask to see Billy and start the whole lawyer stuff. When she does come back, I think those scenes stick with me more than pretty much that entire first half. Other than that beginning scene, but most of the scenes with Ted and Billy Kramer when they're by themselves, when we don't see Joanna, when she's not in the picture for a long time, it's just those scenes to me kind of, they got overwhelmed by the greatness that was Meryl Streep when that character does come back into the movie. One thing that I always admire about really great movies is how they can use realism to subvert, I guess, our expectations. With this movie, I really did think that Ted would win the case for Billy, but I really enjoy that he didn't, because you can see with how Billy, when he gets hurt, how Ted loses his job and then gets a lesser paying job. You can see when the whole not trial, but when the battle, I guess, for custody of Billy started, you can definitely go back to the previous parts of the movie, and you can definitely see where the events that happen in Billy's life and Ted's life, through when Joanna isn't there, it definitely helped her case out, and I totally understand that. I still did though until Ted went to see his lawyer after the trial, um, or after the case. When he went to go see his lawyer in that little diner thing, that not the diner, but like that little restaurant. Up until then, I thought that he would get to keep Billy, and when that happened, I really love the realism of how that scene played out. With just Ted doesn't even have to sit down. The lawyer looks up at him, doesn't say much, doesn't say that he lost, doesn't really say anything, but just the look, the one look that the lawyer gives to Ted. And Dustin Hoffman played it great, or at least he did an amazing job of acting in that scene where he just looks at the lawyer, smiles, but yet you can see it in his eyes that he is absolutely disappointed with the results, because he figures it out just from the one look that the lawyer gives him. He figures it out that he lost the case, and he's now going to have to deal with that. He's now going to have to tell Billy that, hey, things are going to change. You can, and he tries to explain it to Billy. You're going to get two of everything, that's fine. But Billy just, kids in general, people in general, and kids especially have a tough time dealing with change. And so it was very realistic in that, Billy didn't want it to change, just like he didn't want it to change in the beginning of the movie when Joanna left. So it was very realistic to me, and I love that they did that realism, and how Ted had to be the solid rock for Billy, had to be the one to say, it's going to be okay, you're going to see me every other weekend. And then I think like once a month he gets like a week or something like that. I could be wrong, but he said like every other weekend. It was so realistic to see the father have to be that solid rock for the kid, to just tell him it's going to be okay, to tell him that it's not going to ruin your life. It's going to be fine. You're going to get through it. You're going to, you know, you're going to learn how to get through this, just like you learned how to get through it without your mother when she first left. So it was a very realistic thing to do. But then of course Hollywood has to give us the, oh, they live happily ever after thing, where she comes back. And I personally love the fact that Joanna came to that realization that she was not the best person to take care of Billy anymore, but also just the one thought of that she should have painted the clouds in his bedroom. That one thought to me was that's so realistic, because that's something we as humans do. We just kind of think of something and it's like, oh, it was so simple. I should have just done that. It would have made it so much easier, or it would have made it so much better. But yet, it really shouldn't matter, right? It shouldn't matter that the kid has clouds at his dad's house and that he doesn't have clouds at his mom's house. But that realization right there was not the first step, but it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, where she was like, I'm not the right person. And then I love that she went up to go talk to Billy, to tell him, I'm not going to take you, and that she went up by herself. The fact that Ted stayed down in the lobby, that he wasn't going to go up there. I thought it was great, because they're separate now. They can't do things together, or at least they shouldn't. That's how their life played out, and that's how it's going to play out. In the future. They are not together anymore. So if they started doing things like telling the kid that she wasn't going to take him together, it would feel off. The one thing that I really one of the other things that I really enjoyed about the movie was that once Joanna left, Ted never got a serious relationship after that. He didn't really. No, Siri. Oh, thank you, Siri. Thank you for interrupting me. Ted never got uh, a really serious relationship. Don't start again, Siri. He never got that relationship because he knew that Joanna was the one, and yes, he did have relationships after that, but it didn't matter. It was kind of over. He was doing that to try to fill the void that was left by Joanna. I thought that was something that was I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I think this is a really, really fun movie. Not fun movie. I shouldn't say fun movie. It's fun to watch because of how good the acting is by everybody, by our three main characters, especially Meryl Streep. Dustin Hoffman definitely knocked it out of the park, and in my opinion, Justin Henry did a really, really good job just playing this kid who's going through all of these crazy situations that he gets into. I think it's a really good movie. Obviously, it's Oscar caliber. I think, in my opinion, it's one of the best movies that I've ever seen. But it's one of the best movies that I've ever seen because of the realism that is in it. Yes, most of the AFI's top 100 are very realistic movies, things like that, but just something about this one made it very, very fun to. It was fun for me to see how the writers and everything dealt with a very serious topic, very gray, I guess you would say. Gray in the fact that, is she a good mother? Is she not a good mother? Is he a good father? Because we see, at the beginning, he's not exactly the best father, but he grows into becoming a better father. It's very thought provoking. I think that that's one of the best parts of this movie is that after it's done, I at least had a lot of questions, and they weren't just like, well, plot hole questions. It was genuine questions that the movie brought up in my mind, and I think that's one of the better things about this movie. But overall, I think I would Blu-ray this movie. I think this is a movie that you definitely can come back to. This is I watched it. I got it from the library, so I don't have it, but I think I should get it, and I probably will because of the fact that it's very thought provoking, and good movies are thought provoking, and they make you think, and they make you realize some things that I'm not a father, but I would hope that I don't have to go through a situation like the significant other leaving me in order to become a better father. I hope that I would be able to learn from something like this and try to do it right, the first time. But anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. I would like to know what you guys think about Kramer versus Kramer. It's a really great movie, and what do you think in the comment section down below? Tell me your thoughts if they remade Kramer versus Kramer. I'm talking full reboot, ground up everything. If they remade it today, or if they started production today, would they reverse the roles of the father leaving? Well, tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. I think it'd be an interesting question to hear your guys' answers. But that's my thoughts on it. I would love to know your thoughts and definitely answer that question in the comment section down below. If you're new here and haven't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button. I do videos every week, new Star Wars videos, classic movie reviews. I think next is going to be Chinatown, starring Jack Nicholson, so definitely be on the lookout for that one. But yeah, if you haven't seen Kramer versus Kramer, check it out. It's a really great movie, and if you haven't seen it in a while, I would say revisit it. I think it's one of those good movies that, in my opinion, I would be able to go back and watch many times and just get just as many of those questions as I had the first time. But hey, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.